In old Hollywood, the question of who was gay and who was not was one of the industry's most tightly held secrets. It was a time when image meant everything, and the pressure to conform was intense. For many of the biggest stars, revealing their true selves wasn't an option. While some bravely came out later in life, others continued to live in secrecy, with whispers and speculation around them growing over the years. But today we are going to reveal some of your favorite stars who were closet cases and brilliantly kept the secret throughout their lives. Clint Eastwood. When it comes to discussing Clint Eastwood's secret life or the role it may have played in his career, it's totally ambiguous. Clint Eastwood has consistently been linked with relationships with women throughout his life, while he undeniably had a striking appeal that captivated Hollywood, an industry known for its hidden relationships and complex dynamics. However, old Hollywood was indeed a place where the lines between personal relationships and career advancement could blur. There were unspoken understandings and rumors that circulated around certain stars and directors, sometimes leading to speculation. With Clint, the connection to Arthur Lubin sparked particular interest, especially given that Lubin directed Clint in several movies and was a somewhat private figure who never married. This led some to wonder if there was more to their dynamic, especially as Hollywood was a place where careers could be influenced by friendships or mentorships with powerful figures. Still, Clint Eastwood's career trajectory, especially after the late 1960s, largely spoke for itself. As he took on increasingly serious roles and transitioned into directing, he developed a signature style that emphasized his strong, silent appeal and further established his identity as a rugged leading man. By then, any whispers about his personal relationships or early career boosts were overshadowed by his on-screen presence and his contributions to film. Richard Pryor. Pryor's widow, Jennifer Lee Pryor, shared some surprising details in 2018, revealing that Richard had a relationship with the one and only Marlon Brando. According to Lee, Pryor was upfront with his close friends about his bisexuality, especially during the free-spirited days of the 1970s. Jennifer was famously quoted saying, "It was the 70s. Drugs were still good. If you did enough cocaine, you'd mess around with a radiator and send it flowers in the morning." This humor sounds just like something Richard would have said himself, but that's not all. In his autobiography, Prior Convictions, Richard described a 2-week relationship with Matrasha, a trans woman, calling it 2 weeks of being gay. This was a time when exploring sexuality was more taboo, but Pryor didn't let societal norms stop him from living life on his terms. His courage to embrace his experiences is part of what made him so real and relatable to his audience. Interestingly, Richard even addressed his experiences on stage. In his first special, Livin' Smokin', he joked about performing explicit acts and even said, "I have sucked a censored," making the audience laugh but also adding another layer to his raw honesty. In 1977, he performed at a gay rights show at the Hollywood Bowl, which was a bold move back then and showed that Pryor wasn't just open about his past, he was an ally. Not everyone accepted this part of Richard's life, though. His daughter, Rain Pryor, has publicly disputed the claims about her father's bisexuality. However, Jennifer Lee stated that Rain might just be in denial. While his family's perspective differs, Pryor's legacy as a groundbreaking comedian and a man unafraid to be himself remains. George Takei, Star Trek legend and a proud advocate for equality and human rights. But for much of his life, Takei felt he had to keep a part of himself hidden. Let's explore what led him to make that choice and the journey that ultimately empowered him to embrace who he truly is. Known around the world as Lieutenant Sulu, Takei shared in a BBC Hard Talk interview why he chose to keep this part of his life private for so long. Growing up in a time when being open about oneself was not widely accepted, especially in Hollywood, Takei realized that revealing his truth could mean the end of his acting career. It was an industry where anything but what society expected could limit or even end opportunities. Takei's personal journey held additional challenges. As a young boy during World War II, he spent part of his childhood in a Japanese-American internment camp, facing prejudice and confinement. Reflecting on those early years, he spoke about how, as an adult, he built an invisible barbed wire fence around himself. a barrier created by the need to keep part of his life private. But eventually, Take decided to step out from behind that barrier. In 2005, he publicly shared his truth and went on to become a leading voice for LGBTQ+ rights. Then in 2008, he married his partner, Brad Altman, who had been by his side for many years. Takei's openness has inspired countless others, especially within the LGBTQ+ community, where he's recognized not just as Sulu, but as a champion for equality and understanding. Laurence Olivier. While Olivier's professional life was well documented, his personal life has been the subject of much speculation and debate. Biographer Donald Spoto once claimed that Olivier was openly curious and had relationships with both men and women. According to Spoto, Olivier had a few romantic connections with men, including a brief relationship with actor Henry Ainley in his younger years. But others who knew him tell a different story. One of Olivier's biographers, Terry Coleman, challenges Spoto's claims, arguing that while Olivier may have had one or two close relationships with men, it was part of his younger years rather than a lasting lifestyle. And another biographer, Philip Ziegler, went even further, suggesting that the idea of Olivier's bisexuality has been exaggerated over time, and that he was primarily interested in women. But if there was one person who captured Olivier's heart, it was Vivien Leigh. The couple married in 1940, and their romance was as intense as it was public. They exchanged heartfelt letters, with Olivier famously calling Leigh his jewelkin and professing his deep affection for her. Their love affair was one for the ages, and despite their later separation, it's clear that Vivien held a special place in his heart. Chuck Connors. Many historians write Chuck was not gay, but on the same time, many writes he was. The reason is simple. His professional life was well documented, but his personal life was largely private, leading to rumors about his relationships. Although he had close friendships with several men, a normal part of life for many people, some have speculated that these connections might suggest something more. But the facts tell a different story. Throughout his life, Connors was married 3 times, each marriage ending for various personal reasons. His first wife, Elizabeth Riddell, a Canadian, was his partner from 1948 until 1962. After their divorce, he married Kamala Devi, an Indian actress with whom he starred in Geronimo. Their marriage lasted from 1963 to 1972. Connors' third marriage, to Faith Quabius, also an actress, lasted from 1977 to 1980. Each of these relationships suggests a romantic interest in women, countering the rumors about their sexuality. In fact, many of the rumors about Connors' sexuality appear to be based on simple misunderstandings about his friendships and social life, rather than any credible evidence. So what do you think? Was he gay? Tyrone Power. Tyrone Power was a Hollywood heartthrob whose talent and looks made him one of the most iconic leading men of his time. But beneath his dashing on-screen persona lies a story full of intrigue, mystery, and rumor. One of the most talked-about sources on Power's private life is the book The Secret Life of Tyrone Power by Hector Arce. Arce claimed that Power was indeed romantically involved with some of Hollywood's leading ladies, including Lana Turner, Judy Garland, and Linda Christian. But he also hinted at a more secretive side of Power's love life, suggesting he had hidden relationships with men. Some, however, have said the book's title might suggest more drama than it delivers, leaving readers with more questions than answers. And then there's Scotty Bowers, Hollywood's fixer of sorts, who in his memoir, Full Service, claimed he arranged discreet encounters for many famous actors of the time, including Tyrone Power. Bowers painted a picture of old Hollywood where stars relied on secrecy to protect their careers and reputations. According to Bowers, he helped Power and many others keep their personal lives under wraps, a fact that only adds to the mystery around Power's relationships. Power's story isn't unique, though. He's often mentioned alongside other famous names like Errol Flynn, Montgomery Clift, Sal Mineo, and Charles Lawton, all of whom were rumored to have led private lives that differed from their on-screen images. In the years after Power's passing, multiple books explored these rumors, with some claiming he was gay or bisexual. Yet without solid confirmation, Power's true story remains elusive, hidden within Hollywood's layers of glamour and secrecy. Jim Nabors. the man who brought Gomer Pyle to life with his classic country humor and warm, baritone singing voice. To fans of The Andy Griffith Show and Gomer Pyle, USMC, he was the lovable, goofy character with a big heart and a memorable golly. But behind the scenes, Neighbors lived a quieter, more private life that only a few close friends and colleagues truly knew about. Neighbors' sexuality was an open secret among those who worked with him in the 1960s and 1970s. He knew from a young age that he was different, but in a conservative industry and era, he chose to keep this part of his life private. For Neighbors, maintaining a separation between his public and private life allowed him to keep working and protect his personal relationships. Despite the pressures to remain quiet, Neighbors found love and companionship that lasted for nearly 4 decades. In 2013, he married his partner, Stan Cadwallader, in Seattle, Washington, just after same-sex marriage was legalized in the state. Reflecting on his life, Neighbors once shared with Hawaii News Now that he felt truly blessed to have found someone to share his life with for so long. Charles Lton. Charles Lton was a true powerhouse of classic Hollywood with a legacy marked by his unforgettable roles and compelling personal life. Known for his versatility on screen, Lton made his mark in films like The Private Life of Henry VIII, Mutiny on the Bounty, and Witness for the Prosecution. Lton began a relationship with fellow actress Elsa Lanchester in 1927, and the two were married 2 years later. Their partnership was one of Hollywood's enduring unions, lasting until Lawton's death. They appeared together on screen in several films, including Rembrandt and Witness for the Prosecution, where both received Academy Award nominations. But behind their long-lasting marriage was a nuanced dynamic that blended professional respect with a complicated personal relationship. Lawton's private life was complex. Although married, he was widely known among Hollywood insiders to have been attracted to both men and women. According to Full Service, Scotty Bowers' memoir about old Hollywood, Lton reportedly had a deep affection for Tyrone Power and is said to have lived much of his private life through discreet relationships with men. While rumors circulated about the reasons for Lton and Lanchester not having children, their friend Maureen O'Hara suggested it was due to a health issue related to Lanchester. Lanchester herself later admitted she chose not to have children, adding another layer to their story. Paul Winfield. No doubt Paul Winfield was a gifted actor, celebrated for his unforgettable roles in Sounder, The Terminator, and countless other classics. While his talent on screen spoke for itself, Winfield's personal life was a more private journey. Winfield was in a loving, long-term relationship with architect and set designer Charles Gilg Jr. for 30 years, up until Gillen's passing in 2002. Their bond was deep and lasting, and the two are buried together in Los Angeles. In an era when Hollywood wasn't particularly welcoming to LGBTQ+ actors, Winfield, like many others, felt compelled to keep his private life hidden. His friend, actor-producer Jack Larson, once shared that while Winfield was openly gay among friends, he remained discreet with the public. The fear of losing work was very real, especially for an actor of his generation who had to navigate the pressures and prejudices of time. Before coming out, Winfield was even romantically linked with his Sounder co-star, Cicely Tyson. The two reportedly pretended to be a couple, a way to help Winfield keep his private life under wraps while avoiding unwanted questions about his personal life. This relationship allowed him to protect both his career and his authentic self. Walter Pigeon. Walter Pigeon was one of Hollywood's most dignified leading men. He was celebrated for his roles in Mrs. Miniver, The Forbidden Planet, and many other classic films. With his refined presence and deep, commanding voice, Pigeon became a staple of the golden age of cinema. But like many stars of his era, there's more to his story than what we saw on the screen. Born in Canada, Pigeon initially pursued a career in law before discovering his passion for acting. He moved to Hollywood, where he quickly made a name for himself in the 1930s and 1940s, especially with his roles alongside leading ladies like Greer Garson. The two were a beloved on-screen pair, and their performances together, particularly in Mrs. Miniver, earned them both acclaim and Academy Award nominations. Despite his success, Pigeon kept his personal life relatively private. Known as a gentleman among his peers, He avoided Hollywood's party scene and focused on his craft. Although he was married twice, his life off-screen was notably quiet, even as he became one of MGM's go-to leading men. There were whispers here and there about his personal relationships, but Pigeon always maintained a dignified and reserved image in the public eye. Joe Flynn. Joe Flynn was a name that might not immediately ring a bell, but his face and voice are unmistakable to fans of classic television and film. Best known for his role as Captain Wallace Binghamton in the 1960s sitcom McHale's Navy, Flynn's career was marked by his distinctive comedic style and memorable performances. Born on November 8, 1924, in Youngstown, Ohio, Flynn's early life was a blend of academia and entertainment. He attended Northwestern University, where he studied drama and political science. His initial foray into entertainment was as a ventriloquist and radio performer, showcasing his versatility from the start. During World War II, Flynn served in the Army's Special Services branch, entertaining troops stateside. After the war, he moved to Hollywood, making his film debut in The Big Chase, 1954. Flynn's big break came with McHale's Navy, where his portrayal of the bumbling yet endearing Captain Binghamton endeared him to audiences. His comedic timing and unique voice made the character unforgettable. Beyond this role, Flynn became a staple in Disney films during the 1960s and 1970s, appearing in classics like The Love Bug and The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. Michael Kearns. Michael Kearns found himself reflecting on the life and choices of Rock Hudson, one of the industry's most beloved yet hidden figures. In his one-man show, Rock, Kearns explores the path he could have taken, a path Hudson walked, where fame meant concealing one's true self. Kearns describes a deep parallel with Hudson. Both came from the Midwest, both had classic leading man looks, and both arrived in Hollywood with dreams of stardom. But while Hudson lived in a time when being an out-gay man meant risking everything, Kearns took a different approach. He chose to live openly, embracing his identity even if it meant fewer roles or less fame. Looking back, he realizes that he could have let someone mold me into the Hollywood image Hudson had to play, but he's grateful he chose otherwise. In Rock, Kearns unpacks Hudson's hidden life, from the pressures to appear straight to his heartbreaking end as one of the first public figures to die from AIDS-related complications in 1985. Kearns even recalls a brief encounter with Hudson at a bathhouse in 1983, a moment that made Hudson's life feel all the more real and relatable to him. Kearns realized that while Hudson's fame was impressive, it came at a steep personal cost, a sacrifice of peace and authenticity. Danny Kaye. Kaye married Sylvia Fine in 1940, and this partnership was not just romantic, but it was also professional. Fine was instrumental in shaping Kaye's career, writing songs and routines that showcased his talents. However, their marriage faced challenges, and the couple separated in 1947, although they remained close collaborators throughout his career. Their separation, combined with Kaye's own enigmatic nature, added fuel to long-standing rumors about his personal life and relationships outside the marriage. Over the years, multiple biographies and Hollywood insiders have hinted that Kaye may have been romantically involved with both men and women. This speculation was particularly intriguing given the societal expectations of the time, as Kaye was known for his unique sensitivity and theatrical flair, traits that some in Hollywood coded as too soft or too theatrical, terms often used to subtly suggest a different kind of masculinity. But it's not just his demeanor that kept tongues wagging. Kaye's close friendships and personal connections with high-profile figures in Hollywood kept the rumors alive. Perhaps the most surprising story involves Kaye's friendship with Laurence Olivier. A recent biography of Vivien Leigh, Olivier's wife, suggested that their marriage may have been strained not only by Leigh's mental health struggles, but also because of a possible romantic connection between Olivier and Kaye. Although there's no concrete evidence to confirm this, the notion adds a fascinating twist to Kaye's legacy. Olivier and Kaye were known to be close, and some accounts even describe them as having an intense bond. Sir John Gielgud. Gielgud never hid his sexuality, but he was a product of a time when being openly gay could bring harsh consequences, especially in the public eye. Despite this, he found a way to live authentically, choosing not to discuss his personal life openly. In 1988, however, he made a significant acknowledgement, publicly recognizing his relationship with his longtime partner, Martin Hensler. This quiet revelation spoke volumes about the strength of their bond, even if Gilg never felt the need to speak about it further. For Gilg, it wasn't about hiding, it was about maintaining a dignified privacy, something he held dear. In a time when many actors had to keep their relationships hidden entirely, Gilgud's approach to his personal life was one of quiet bravery. His decision to acknowledge Hensler was a meaningful choice, especially considering the era's often unforgiving attitudes toward LGBTQ+ individuals. Gilgud's relationship with Hensler, like his career, was marked by dedication and integrity. When Gilg passed away in 2000 at the age of 96, he left behind not only an unmatched legacy in theater and film, but also a quiet example of a life lived with authenticity. His legacy endures as a reminder that greatness on stage is often accompanied by grace and dignity behind the scenes. Divine. Divine, also known as Harris Glenn Milstead, was a true icon of the LGBTQ+ community and a trailblazer for queer visibility in entertainment. With his outrageous style, fearless performances, and unforgettable characters, Divine left an indelible mark on pop culture that still resonates today. Growing up in the 1950s Baltimore, Milstead's childhood wasn't easy. He was bullied for being overweight and different, an experience that many LGBTQ+ individuals could relate to at the time. But at age 16, he found a friend and ally in filmmaker John Waters, who would become his lifelong collaborator. Waters saw Milstead's potential, accepted him as he was, and together they would push boundaries and create a genre all their own. Under the stage name Divine, Milstead became known as the Queen of Filth and carved out a space for himself as a drag queen, musical performer, and cult film star. Divine starred in Waters' infamous films like Pink Flamingos, Female Trouble, and Polyester, bringing outrageous humor and unforgettable characters to life. His performances were both shocking and hilarious, redefining what it meant to be a drag queen and creating an image that went beyond the mainstream's expectations. But Divine's talents didn't stop at acting. He also ventured into music, recording rock and disco tracks that became hits in the gay club scene. And in 1988, he took on the iconic role of Edna Turnblad in Waters' film Hairspray, a performance that introduced him to an even wider audience and remains one of his most beloved roles. Earl Hollman. The question of Earl Hollman's sexuality has been a topic of discussion among fans and media for decades. Given the era in which he rose to fame, societal pressures regarding sexuality were vastly different from today. In the world of Hollywood legends, few names resonate quite like Earl Hollman. Known for his captivating performances and undeniable charm, Hollman has left a lasting mark on film and television. Yet beyond his successful career, questions have swirled for years about his personal life, specifically his romantic relationships and the rumors surrounding his secret closet case. Despite his fame, Hollman has always kept his personal life out of the public eye, fueling curiosity. While he was never directly linked to a serious public relationship, speculation about his romantic life persisted. Hollywood in the mid-20th century was not exactly a safe place for LGBTQ+ individuals, and for many, keeping a low profile was crucial for their careers. Though Hollman himself has never publicly identified his sexuality, his choice to keep his private life private has only added to the intrigue. During that time, many actors faced significant pressure to appear straight, especially those with leading man looks. Rumors circulated about several high-profile stars, and Hollman was no exception. Yet it's important to view these rumors within the context of Hollywood's often restrictive environment, where privacy was fiercely guarded and speculation often filled the gaps.